This is Jacqueline Richardson, Miss J.J. Diamond, Jackie, Deja, whatever y'all call me. Well, everybody want to know how I got out of foster care at 16. Well, being that, well, first and foremost, I was in pregnancy foster care home. It wasn't feeding us much there. For pregnant women, they felt that we should only eat certain things, so I was always hungry. My baby was underweight when I gave birth. Well, before I gave birth, that's why she stayed in my belly, actually, for 44 weeks. I'm talking about Shaquana, my oldest child. How I got out of foster care was a girl had came and told me that her baby father was marrying her and they was releasing her from foster care. So I told my daughter's father, because we were never together because I was in foster care, but he was staying at my mom's house, and I would come every day for about an hour to see him and my mom if she was there. That's when we decided we wanted to do the same thing so I can get out of foster care. So we talked to his mom and my mom, and they took us down to City Hall, downtown Chambers Street, I believe it was, and signed the papers. And being that we had a child, get ready to come, we didn't have to do like blood tests or anything like that because we had a baby in common and we were both young. They was making us wait 30 days, I believe it was, before we can do the ceremony. I believe it was something like 30 days, 30 or 60 days. Meanwhile, foster care, they signed paperwork and had me sign the paperwork, and I believe had him sign the paperwork saying that he was going to take full responsibility in marrying me and the baby, and they released us. Once they released us, I was pretty much on my own at 16. My mother lived in Florida, in Jacksonville. I gave birth to my baby, and my grandmother was there, but she was pretty old, so she couldn't really help me that much, so the community did everything they possibly could because they knew the battles I was fighting. They knew what I went through with my little brother. So they helped me as much as they could. They would give me money, buy me clothes, make sure I ate. I didn't want for anything. I know the Bronx wanted me to choose them. But I couldn't because Harlem took care of me. They took care of me being on the streets. Even when I became homeless and I had to sleep on the train, there was a family that lived in Harlem on 149th in 8th Avenue, I believe it was. And they took me and my daughter in. I would like to tell you young girls, protect yourselves. I don't care how much a boy tell you he loves you. Protect yourselves. It's a rough battle when you're out there and you have kids young, you have no guidance and no help. You know, my high school, I was going to King High School, 66th Street. I was supposed to be a cheerleader. I made the cheer team. Foster care made me take a letter to school saying that I was pregnant so I wouldn't have to do PE. I took the letter to school. They made me leave the gym. And the next day they told me don't come back to school. They was embarrassed of me because I made a mistake. And all it took was one time. One time. That's all it took. I only did it one time. I got pregnant. And I'm going to tell you why I did it. My mother was on drugs. My father was on drugs. I didn't have any clothes. And everybody in high school looked nice but me. He used to make money on the streets. He used to beatbox. And he kept saying, I'm going to be a star one day. He would buy me clothes. He would buy me shoes. My mother would say, where you get these shoes from? And I told her, I said, my boyfriend bought them for me. And my aunts asked me, well, who's buying me this stuff? I said, my boyfriend. And my mother said, well, you know, you're going to have to give him something for all the stuff he buying you. So tell him to stop buying me stuff. And she was right. And I gave it to him. And I got pregnant. I had to fight that battle of trying to raise a child, and I was still a child myself.
And as she grew, my parents got off of drugs. So they called themselves trying to help, but also showing her a lot of negativity. A lot of people in Harlem took on the responsibility because they wanted to see me make it, because I was a smart girl. I was an honor student. So when people would use drugs and stuff around me, they would tell me, go home or get away. You're not using this stuff. We want to see you make it. I know sometimes we live rough lives and our parents are bad people. I know that. But that doesn't mean you have to live your life like theirs. Even the kids that's in foster care or have been in foster care don't have to live your life like your parents did. Sometimes our parents can learn from us. We've been through so many battles. Being a foster child, going from home to home. I was thankful. After a while, my aunt and uncle took me. But once they found out I was pregnant, they didn't want me there no more. And I had to fight the battle of the transition of leaving my family's house, being pregnant, getting ready to be a mother at 16, trying to prepare myself to go to school. It was like really, really hard, really, really hard. Having no money and no way to get money. It's really hard. They wouldn't let me get on welfare, food stamps, because I was only 16, even though I was emancipated. They wouldn't do it. So I had to fend for myself. And that's why the community took care of me. Even when I got myself together and got a job and started working, my first job was at Roy Rogers. And I was pregnant with my second child. And I was trying to work and go to school. Shaquana was only like 4 months, 5 months. I wound up losing that baby. It was a boy. I lost him at Harlem Hospital. The only thing I could tell y'all is don't do it. Protect yourself. Just protect yourself. My last child, I was financially stable. I didn't have to depend on the government to help me. That was the most beautiful thing in life. even though I struggled, because I had to go on disability. But it was the most beautiful thing in my life that I didn't have to depend on the government to give birth to my child. That I went to work every day and worked hard for my insurance, for my disability. All I had to pay for was her bassinet when she was born that she slept in, the little plastic bed that they give them. That's all I had to pay for. But I felt blessed that I was able to do it. You know, it's nothing like being able to do something on your own. You know, without help. But unfortunately, I lost my job trying to help her father. And that's been a long battle. It's been a long, long battle. And sometimes I just wish I could erase him. Oh. But you know, sometimes God puts us in situations so we can learn. And being that I'm one of the leaders, you know, I have to tell y'all, you know what? Y'all need to know my testimonies of life so y'all won't make the same mistakes. My second job was at Baskin Robbins. I had so much fun there. I would make cakes, ice cream cakes. I was living with my grandmother at the time, so she was helping me watching the baby and stuff. But she was still older. That would be Grandma Tina, the one that was a member of the Negro League. And she taught me a lot. I was so thankful to be able to meet and grow with my great-grandmother. That was a blessing. And I told her that I would never be like my parents. But it's been a hard battle because being that I don't drink and use drugs, I don't do crime, I try to do everything right. My family don't like to be around me because they all bad. So sometimes we say to ourselves, you know, do we want to be all good? Because if nobody will like you, then you won't have help. Sometimes you have to take people abuse. But is it right? No. Why should you have to take people abuse because you want to do things right? No one should have to take abuse. I've been through a lot of abuse because I was a single mom and I was young. I had a guy, he would buy me new shoes every day and feed me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I had to do whatever he wanted me to do. He didn't ask me to sell my body or nothing like that. But if I didn't listen, he would hit me. If a guy looked at me, he would hit me. And I would say to him, why are you hitting me? I didn't look at the guy looked at me. He would just beat me in my face. and looking at your eyes. Because my eyes change color. So I had to be beat because of the DNA in my body. All because I needed to survive. I needed my daughter to survive. My daughter's been through a lot. She put herself through a lot. Things that she really didn't have to put herself through, you know. They say to me, why do you help people? Because when I was out there, people helped me. I wouldn't have survived if these people didn't help me. There was blacks, Jamaicans. They all helped me. Everybody around town said, help Jackie. And the way I repay them, excuse me, y'all, I gotta blow my nose. The way I repaid them is by doing the same service they did for me. They made me a celebrity. I was the girl that brother got killed. That stuck all the way up until I got grown. I was the girl. Little Jackie. And everybody took care of me. Even though I went out there to work, you know, if I needed something, if I needed a ride, if I needed a taxi fare, they took care of me. They didn't want me in the streets. They didn't want me in the clubs. They wanted me to stay in the books. But it was hard. And I should have went to college and finished. Well, I did go to college, but I didn't finish. You know, that's always been a dream of mine. But I've always had to work. And work. And work. It don't stop. And work. I've been blessed throughout my life. And throughout my life, being blessed, I've always gave to others because they gave to me. People don't understand. how many nights I had to be hungry. Just like a couple of days ago, a week ago, I was hungry. And I ate a noodle and tuna fish. You wouldn't believe how thankful and satisfied I was. Because I remember the days I had nothing but popcorn to go to bed on, or candy, or white rice. People say, Jackie, you always cook. You always make sure you feed your kids. Yeah, because I don't ever want them to go through what I went through. People don't know the battle that people go through that goes through foster care. They wanted me to be a foster mom here in Charlotte. But in the process of me getting ready to do that, I was trying to get my money up. And they was kind of not forcing me, but telling me, even living where I'm living at, that I could still take a few children. Because it's nothing like a child that's been through it to love another child that's going through it. And be a service to your county to help with the children, because it's a job that I do every day of my life anyway. They just don't live with me. Charlotte is honoring the foster care parents for back to school right now. Because it's a big thing. They honored foster care a couple of months ago. I can't remember exactly what day it was, but I stood for the children because I'm one of them. It's been a long, long battle, just trying to get through the whole process of life and learning what not to do. It's one thing they always taught me in foster care. If you follow the rules, everything will be okay. And I've always carried that with me, to follow the rules. Just try and follow the rules the best of your ability. And if you can't follow the rules, you have to maneuver some things or figure it out. It's okay, but for the most part, to follow the rules of life and you'll be okay. A lot of people don't like that I follow the rules, but this is what I was taught. I was taught this by my government. A contracted agency from the government. Just like when I took my grandson, I had to go to classes, parenting classes. And I did everything by the book, because I didn't want him. I took him out of foster care. I went to court and filed a petition to foster care to get him out, because I said I would never want another one of my family members to have to be in foster care. So I took him out as a baby, and I went back and forth to court. I had to drive 8 hours from Buffalo, New York to New York City to go to court to get him out so he can, not be in foster care. But I had to do parenting classes and different things like that, even though I was already a parent of 2 children at that point. But you would never believe of the things that I learned going to parenting class. You would never believe. And this is why I feel like, I want our government to take it a little bit more serious for young women. I mean, they could be teens or just young parents, new parents, to take these parenting classes, make it mandatory. I know y'all probably ain't gonna like me for that. However, if y'all do it, you will know how to follow the rules when it comes to your children. The do's and the don'ts. And when you follow the rules, you're a lot happier with life because you're doing what you're supposed to do by your children. Those children are pointed to us from God, and sometimes we make mistakes because there's no handbook, of parenting. But the government came up with classes to teach us how to run an American family. Every day ain't gonna be a perfect day, but if you follow the rules, there's always an outcome. And most of the time, it'll be a good outcome. So I just think that the government needs to get a little bit more serious with that so we can stop seeing a lot of these children abused, neglected, not being raised right. And then that way they could stop pointing the finger at these young girls that's not doing what they're supposed to do because they don't even know what they're supposed to do. And that's just the facts. I mean, I was blessed to be able to go to these classes and, and learn these new things and, and how to love my children, listen to them, understand them, I, as a parent, enjoy being a parent. I enjoy going to work and be able to do my duties as a parent and know that I'm doing it right, Because a lot of people, just because they're parents don't mean that they're doing their parenting duties the proper way. And I see a lot of them don't know what they're doing, And what we do, people like myself, is try to be a model parent so they can learn how to be a parent, in the community. This is what we do. None of us will ever be perfect parents. But if we follow the rules, life becomes easier. And my job tried to make me break the rules. How can you make me break the rules that my government taught me year after year on how to be a parent and how to protect my child from harm? Especially being a single parent. I mean, losing my job turned my life upside down. And now I stand in chaos because I have to follow the rules to protect my child. When I tell people the story of what my job did to me, they look at me like, in disbelief, like, you gotta be lying. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Because it's unheard of. How can you make me commit a crime against my child to put myself behind bars and my child into foster care because you want me to work for you? That's pure slavery. I wanted to sue them. No lawyers want to take the case. They're too afraid. So y'all see what's happening to our country. So at this point, I just want to stay out the way. And it's protect and take care of my child. And people don't realize being a single parent, you're working double hard, you know. My hat goes off to the fathers that stand by their children, even if they're not with their mothers, that they're there, one call away, 5 miles, 10 miles away. Shout out to you guys that knows the values of being a parent, Not only financial, but physical. And this is why we want you young women to think twice. Don't let your mind and your body take over, Say, hey, we got to use protection. I have to get on birth control. I met a girl in New Jersey. I think she did tell me her name. And she wasn't that old. That young either. She was like in her mid-20s. And she was saying, I just got on birth control because I don't want no more babies. And, she looked tired. And I said, you tired? And she was like, yeah, I'm tired. And I asked her if she was with her kid's father. And she said yes. And she told me, she said, I don't want no more babies. That's why I wanted to get on birth control. But the birth control was making her so sick. It was making her so sick, she said. And she just couldn't take it. We had such a long talk. It was me, her, and another girl. And, being that I'm older, that's what younger girls do. They try to take advice from older women, when they see them try to get some, because some of them didn't have parents, or have a parent that is there, where they can just call them up and, hey, Mom, why am I going through this? Or sometimes they don't even want to address their parents with stuff like that. Their parents can be the old type Christians that don't want to talk about sex and having babies and all that type of stuff. So they can't even talk to their parents. You see what society has done? We can't even teach our children properly. You see what religion has done? So it's you just don't, they don't know how to get the information, So they ask, when they see an older person, okay, they might have been through this, so let me ask her, And I'm a stranger, but she needed to know. She needed to get some type of advice. And that's what we are here as older adults, to lead. To lead so the kids won't make the same mistakes that we made. They can do it better. Not to teach them the negativity that we do or we've done. We want to teach them the good things so they can learn how to be free. And when I say free, free of the struggle of every day mentally. The free of the battle of not knowing. Because knowledge is power. Free from not understanding what tomorrow can be like and how life can change. This is why we tell our kids to go to school. You need your knowledge. Even if you don't go to college, you still need to have some understanding and ability to comprehend right from wrong. And as celebrities and stars, That's their job. You know, they make music. Some of it may be a little raunchy or whatever the case may be. But they're there to lead. And you can choose who you listen to. Who you want to lead you. Or if you find a rapper or singer that's going through what you're going through, there's songs for everybody, and everybody in this world goes through similar things. We may not go through the same things at the same time, but we go through similar things. And this is what we do. And I'm not going to stop leading. I'm not going to stop testifying. I'm going to continue to give the knowledge that I have to the youth so they won't fail in certain areas. I've been taken the hat of so much by people. It's unreal, you know. And see, the thing is, they know my story, so they take my weakness. They take my weakness for kindness because they know that I've been through so much. And they will listen to the stories or the testimonies that I've been through. And they will pretty much use that against me to get things from me. You know, knowing that my heart goes out to them because I've been out there. I've been where I had no one and people stood up for me. So they take advantage of that. And then some people won't stop. They just don't stop no matter how much you tell them, stop. Enough. God can show them in a million ways where they want you to stop. And they will continue on and on and on and on. And try to break down your mental. But they're doing you wrong. You know, you get into these relationships and, you know, you try to feel like, especially when you fall in love and, you know, you tell your partner, you know, your biggest fears and, you know, all your secrets, and y'all confide in each other, you know. And sometimes, you know, we feel like we can do that because we feel like we have that bond with that person. But in actuality, they may not love you at all. They could be just grabbing information just to use against you. Instead of loving you from that pain that you've been through. And saying you don't have to ever go through that pain again because I'm here now. The person that's going to love you unconditionally and not hurt you, I'm here now. But they don't do that. They find ways to hurt you even more. And these are the things that you have to look for. Because a lot of people, they've been scarred as well. And some people just don't know how to love. Some people will act like they know how to love, but they've never been loved by their parents. So they can't give the love to you. But I like how, you know, some of the new generation are doing things. They're growing and learning how to love together. You know, and they need to try to teach some of the older ones, because the older generation is like tormented. They are just so bad when it comes to love and helping each other and building together. There's no reason why women should have to run to other women to survive, to take care of children, because men just walked away. You know, my hat goes off to this younger generation. I got 3 of them out here. Okay, you know, I'm proud of my boys, you know, in my community. You know, I got, and my grandson, even though he's a piece of work, but he stays with those kids. He doesn't know everything and how to raise a child. He's young. Same with the other ones. But they learn as they go. They ask questions. If I have the answer, I'll give it to them. And this is what we have to start doing as elders in the community. Help these kids learn how to raise their kids. Because they don't know. Teach them how to be leaders. How to hold on to their families. Even when the world beats them up. And not just walk away. You know, the model family has always been the white family for many, many, many years. The white American family. They have the house with the white picket fence. 2 cars, either a truck or a van and a car. The father works. The mother stays home and deals with the kids. But in this economy today, both parents work and the kids are pretty much taking care of themselves until the parents can get home and deal with whatever situations. We're trying to have more black model families for our youth and save them. It's becoming a pattern. The curse is a pattern. You know, what my daughter's father told me, he said, you act like I'm the only one that left my child behind. And if I was standing in front of him, I probably would have slapped his face. Just because somebody else done it don't mean you follow. You don't have to like me, but you need to love your child, and your child needs to know that you love them and that you're there. And that they can call you at any given moment and you will be standing in their face in less than 5 to 10 minutes. When they need you most. Not over a phone. That's what I take my hat off to and salute those fathers that don't believe in leaving their children behind. To watch them struggle mentally and physically. Watch their children's mother struggle through life trying to raise them and dealing with whatever comes at this child on a 24 hours, 7 day a week, 30 days in a month, 31 days in a month at a time by themselves. Any man that does that is a coward. And just evil. Let me tell you, my son's father he had decided to move to PA, and I was living in Buffalo. Every holiday he would come, when I was living in Buffalo, come and get his son. When he moved to PA and I moved to Maryland, every holiday, my son was with his family. He paid his child support on time. He gave me a good amount, actually a decent amount, to help for the care of his child, for the needs of his clothes, food, transportation, if he wanted to go hang out with his friends. I didn't have to come out my pocket for everything. Haircuts, and if he didn't have the money to give, I never took my son's father to child support. We made an agreement. He stuck by the agreement. If he didn't have the money because something came up in his life with his new wife and his kids that he had on, in that relationship, if something came up, he would give me a call and say, "Hey, Jack, such and such came up, and I really can't send the money this week, but I got you in a couple of weeks." And it was no problem, no issues. Or I can't send the whole thing this month, but I'll double up next month. But I'm going to send you this so you got something. He knew I wasn't on social services, so everything that I worked for is what I had to spend, for survival. He knew that. And he took that into consideration. I had to sit with my daughter for almost 2 years before I got a consistent, I still haven't gotten a consistent child support check. And it was very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. I had to take on a second job just so we can eat. Every time I applied for food stamps, they denied me. And I always tell people, I know it sounds weird, but I say, I gotta feed her. I can't just take all the money and give it to bills. I gotta feed her. It's the law. I can't break the law and go to jail for not feeding my child. I gotta feed her. And people just look at me and be like, "Jackie, you crazy?" No, I'm dead serious. I got bills up the butt, but I got to feed her. Did her father take that into consideration? No, he didn't care. Why he laid up and did nothing? So this is why we have to pay attention to the men that we have our children with. If you know a man is a hard-working man, see, I didn't know that mine wasn't really a hard-working man. I just thought he was just going through so much because of his life. And, I pretty much let him rest while I worked, But when the tables turned, that's when I got to see the real him, So God needed that to happen. He needed me to see that. As soon as the tables turned and I could no longer work because I was sick, he started to abuse me. He started to mistreat me. He started to act like he was the man. Yeah, you are the man, but you still have to care and protect your family, which you chose to be your family. The same way I protected you when you didn't work for 10 years and you stayed home and took care of the kids. So people have to take in consideration the things that they do to others and why negative come back to them, And to avoid that, pay attention to these men before you decide to give them a child. A child is a lifetime job. I'm still mothering my children. My oldest child is 36. I'm still mothering my child. Because certain things I couldn't teach her when I was young because I was a child learning how to live too. It don't stop. I don't care how old you get. You could be 45, 50. And if your parent is still alive, they are still supposed to be there to parent you. That was their job. That's their job. That's what God appointed them to do. When he made that miracle happen and here comes the baby. It doesn't stop. It's like my mother, she had to parent me. And I was, 40 years old. She said, Jackie, you just buy these kids so much. Slow down. I said, well, Mommy, I'm blessed. I make the money. I can give them what they need and want. He said, but you're just giving them too much. These kids got everything. I'm like, well, that's why I work. I work for them. So they can have. But I also spoil them. And I seen what she was talking about. But she needed, as a parent, to tell me. It's like I went out one day. I called my mom and I said, oh, Mom just bought me some new shoes. She know I love shoes. I'm always buying shoes. I'm a shoe fanatic. And she said, how much the shoes cost, Jackie? I was like, $290. And she said, with tax, over $300. I said, yeah, Mommy, but I work for them. And all my bills is paid. I deserve something. And she just went off. And I listened to her. Yeah, you're right, Mom. Okay, Mom. Yeah, Mom. Okay. But as a mother, it was her job to parent me. Even though I was older. I was 39. I think I was 30 because it was after I had Egypt and went back to work. Yeah, it was about 39, 40 years old. And she was telling me, stop buying them $300 shoes. And she asked because she already knew that I spent $300 on the shoes or more. She just wanted to see. And even though she was a bad parent when she was younger, before she died, she became a better parent because she didn't know how to be a parent either. And I had to have the faith to forgive her
and be able to accept her as my mom and listen to the things that she was telling me and so forth, so on. Because I spent most of my life in foster care. But the last 13 years of her life, we was able to bond. That's why I take it serious when I go to visit my mom's grave. You know, a lot of people don't understand it. They say, oh, well, she did all of this stuff to you, but you still go visit her grave. Because we got that chance to bond that last 13 years of her life. I remember during the time I was pregnant with my last child, when my daughter's father couldn't provide. And I called my mom and I said, Mommy, I'm so hungry. And she said, I'm going to send you some money through Western Union. You can't be hungry and you're pregnant. I said, I know. And she asked me, what that baby father doing? He ain't got no job. And I'm hungry waiting on this disability check that I got to take most of that and pay rent with. She was there. I was able to pick up the phone and let her know. Just like the other day when I was hungry. If she was alive, I could have picked up the phone and said, Mom, I'm hungry. And she could have sent me some money. But I can't do that no longer. I can no longer do that. So I take it serious. So that's another thing you guys got to learn to do too. You only get one parent. Well, two parents, but I mean, they only come once a lifetime is what I'm trying to get out. So love them when they're here. And if they're going through things and they can't be loved in that moment, just fall back and wait. You'll get that chance to bond with them and get the love that you deserve once they've learned what they needed to learn. But I think our government should help us help the children from the beginning and stop throwing these women out here. You know, it's already terrible that we pick up these bad men that don't want to be fathers, that don't want to stick around, want to go raise other people's children, and then when they get tired of them, the first thing they say is, well, they ain't my kids. But if we teaching these youth from young, the mothers and the fathers, what a model life should be like, maybe we will have better parents. We can't continue to have this cycle. And these youth are looking at these older men like, okay, well, this is what he's doing. Okay, well, let me try that. And then it fails, and he's like, well, damn, how did I fail at doing it? He looked like he was managing it, but in actuality, he really wasn't. So this is how we give off false information to certain people, you know, because some people don't always tell the full truth. They'll tell lies. And it make you believe it. They'll tell you the lie so good because they believe it. And you're looking at them like, oh, okay, so this is how and this is why. But the lies are so great. We don't want these new generations to grow up on lies. It's like when me and my daughter's father broke up, a lot of people believe that the stuff that he left behind was his. No, it wasn't. Not one thing in this house belonged to him. I bought it all. Well, wash and dryer was a gift.
But everything else I bought. They thought my car was his because he drove it more than I did. He had insurance on it and everything, but it wasn't. And he just picked up and walked away. And left everything behind, including me and his child. After destruction. And left me with the bill, to fit the bill. Do we want those type of men coming up in this next generation? No, we do not. As Scarface said, all we have is our balls and our word. And I also say that in my song, Top of My Block. That's all we have in this world. We say our balls, meaning we're fearless. And we keep our word. Those type of people don't have to look over their shoulders. Don't have to fear anything. Because what they speak is truth. And they follow through with whatever they said they was going to do. That's what we want to teach our new generation. If you don't think that you can do it, don't even speak it. Because all a man and a woman have is their word. We have lost the respect of speaking the truth. Everything has to be a lie today. That's not what we're teaching our new generation. They lie to get what they want. This is not what we're teaching the new generation. We want them to speak the truth, understand the truth, and when they say they're going to do something, do it. That's how you sleep good at night. That's how you know when you don't have to worry about somebody coming at you. That's how I got through life. Never had to look over my shoulder. Because I've never done wrong to anyone. So, that being said, that's what we have to work on. And erasing these people that's so cold and want to extort and hurt and tear people down mentally and physically. We got to make them non-existent. Because they're bad people. And they're going to continue to carry on that cycle. These kids are going to continue to pick up those cycles. That's what we call generational curses. When the next generation picks up negative that the old generation has done, that's what generational curses are. See, I broke a generational curse in my family. Me and my son, we both broke it. We both never used drugs. Oh, in Egypt, of course, but she's still young. And, I mean, we both drank before. I've smoked weed. But we've never been that addicted to where it would tear our lives apart.
If our lives get torn apart, it's because it's just the way life is aligned, not because we've done it and we did the same thing that our family members did. So we broke that generational curse. There's other generational curses in my family that needs to be broken as well. My son also broke the generational curse of having a child at 16. Everybody in our family has had a child at 16. And I'm trying to be there for Idra so she won't have that issue. And hopefully she can break that generational curse, just like her brother did. We can't keep carrying on these curses from generation to generation to generation. We just can't. It has to end. And those bad people have to go. They have to be non-existing. That's the only way. Because these kids are going to continue to pick up the negativity. And think it's okay. This is Jacqueline Richardson, Miss JJ Diamond, Jackie Deja, whatever y'all call me. Y'all needed to know about how I came out of foster care. I just wrote foster care recently, and I know that they've gotten the information. So I wrote them recently to pull my records, and they found them. But I came out at 16, and people are wondering why, how, and that was how. So now y'all know. I'll talk to y'all soon.